For the last couple of weeks, Soriano in left, Bird in center, Colvin in right, Ramirez and Castro on the left side of the infield, Blake DeWitt and Derek Lee on the right side. Giovanni Soto will be behind the plate hanging signs for the rookie making his debut, Thomas Diamond. His numbers this season in AAA Iowa. And the one thing that does concern you, as you mentioned, Len, the fact that he hasn't worked deep into very many games at the AAA level. Some of that, I'm sure, is due to monitoring his pitch count, but the Cubs would sure like to see him pitch deep into this ball game tonight.
Get the umpires Ed Rapuano, born in Connecticut, now lives in South Florida, will call the balls and strikes. The crew chief is Tom Hallion at first, Ron Culpa at second, and Lance Barksdale is at third. Thomas Diamond gathering his thoughts before this start tonight. It's been a long road to get here. Tommy John surgery, did not pitch in 2007, had right ankle surgery in September of 08. Cubs got him on waivers in September of 09, and here he is in the majors. And the 27-year-old right-hander dealing strike one, a four-seam fastball at 90 miles an hour to Ricky Weeks. Last night, the Brewers became the first team since 1900 to score 18 runs, have a pitcher strike out 12 batters. That was his starter, Giovanni Gallardo, and have two players with 5 hits. Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder.
And because of the lopsided score, Gallardo had the plug pulled early in the ball game last night. That's as good as we've seen Giovanni Gallardo in a while. He might have struck out a few more if it was a closer ball game.
So Thomas Diamond gets Weeks to chase that high riser, and I think that ball is going to stay in play for the moment. That's his first career strikeout.
Yeah, that one's working pretty good from our Coors Light RoboCam. Diamond tall on the rubber, gets the high fastball. Tempting enough for Ricky Weeks to check his swing. Good start.
From Louisiana, first round pick of the Rangers in 2004. Collegiately, he played for Randy Bush, who was a head baseball coach at the University of New Orleans. Randy now the Cubs assistant general manager. And I know Randy could not be prouder of Thomas Diamond and how far he has come to get to this point.
Nice straight change up there from Diamond. Right out of the same delivery as that low 90s fastball. Got Corey Hart way out front.
Not afraid to throw any pitch in any count. Swing and a miss. Doubled up on that change, 1-2. Hart 4 hits. And 3 runs last night, hours after signing a 3-year contract extension. The wind and the 2-2. Bouncer foul. 18 runs on 26 hits. A lot of teams would take that for an entire series. So maybe that's it.
Yeah, they fell right into our trap.
Well, he did get shut out at back-to-back games in Houston over the weekend. Corey Hart has brought the power here in 2010. 3-2 on the way, swing and a miss. Back-to-back Ks to start Diamond's career.
And we know the Cubs struggle offensively against pitchers that feature a good fastball combined with a good straight changeup, and Thomas Diamond with a real nice feel for that changeup here in the early going.
He has been a strikeout pitcher in his minor league career. 591 strikeouts in under 544 innings. So a little better than 1 per inning. Bob, if I had told you that Ryan Braun would get 5 hits last night with the wind blowing out of the south at 5 miles an hour, would you have guessed they would all have been singles?
No. And 3 of those came to the opposite field, either by design on pitches away or a couple times just a tardy swing that produced a ball hit to the right side of the field. But boy, this Brewers ball club was spraying hits all over Wrigley Field last night.
22 of the 26 hits were singles. They only hit 1 home run. .3-0 on Braun. Excellent numbers here on the north side. That one missed badly up, so he'll have to face Prince Fielder, who had 5 hits in the ballgame last night. He also knocked in 5 runs, kind of lost in the shuffle. One of those RBIs was the 500th of his career. Put on the exaggerated shift against him. That's 5 straight on which Diamond has missed. Fielder leads the league in walks with 69. Always dangerous, but he's only hit 4 home runs with anybody on base this season. The other 20 have come with the bases empty. 2-0.
We talked about it in the ball game last night. With runners in scoring position this season, Fielder hitting under 200, a 190 batting average.
Diamond has not needed anybody other than Giovanni Soto here early. They haven't put a ball in play. Back-to-back strikeouts, a walk, and now a 3-0 count on Prince Fielder. You might have seen Gio put both hands out just to say, take a breath. Three and one.
Dangerous pitch right here. Anytime you have Prince Fielder in a 2-0 or a 3-1 count, I mean, he takes a vicious cut under any circumstances, but when you can really turn it loose ahead in the count. Big swing, a little tardy that time on the fastball, fouls it straight back. Those are the kind of things you like to avoid as a pitcher. Those hitters counts where they can really be aggressive, look for one pitch in one zone, or in the case of Prince Fielder, look for a pitch that leaves the pitcher's hand. He's going to get his hacks in those counts.
He's playing behind Braun at first, who will take off on the pitch. There he goes. And a little floater. Soriano racing in. He caught it. No, he didn't. Could not hang on. Braun's going to hold it third. Good effort by Soriano. It was in his glove for a second. And as he tumbled over, the ball ended up on the grass. So that's a bloop single for Fielder. And the inning's still alive.
A really nice effort. Unfortunately, the long outfielder's glove that time, it allowed him to get to the ball, but it also allowed the ball to come out as he rolled on the turf out there in shallow left field. You have to play deep for Prince Fielder, and Soriano did everything he could to come in and make that shoestring catch.
Fortunately, it did not cost him a run to this point as Casey McGee digs in. Just got a piece of it.
You see Ryan Braun kind of broke it down coming into third base. I think he thought that Soriano made the play as well, and by the time he realized the ball was on the ground behind the Cubs left fielder, he just had to stay at third base.
I still don't get why guys with 2 outs are looking at the ball when he has a third base coach who's paid to help him and is watching him. It's Brad Fisher. Ryan Braun's not the only one. We've seen some Cubs do the same thing.
Yeah. And it's not uncommon when you find teams sitting as far out of first place as the Brewers and the Cubs are to see occasional lapses in effort, but that is inexcusable under any circumstances. Two and one on McGee.
base hit into center, and the Brewers strike first. They have now scored in 7 consecutive innings, going back to last night.
AC McGee with a pretty nice piece of hitting right here. Just tomahawks that high fastball into center field past Blake DeWitt. And the Brewers on the board first.
5 driven in by McGee so far in the series, and it's another former Cub, Jim Edmonds. Edmonds with 2 hits, a walk and 2 runs in the opener. Carlos Gomez probably not available tonight after getting hit in the head by a pitch from Brian Schlitter that knocked him out of the game. Sounds like a slight concussion. So they're going to monitor Carlos Gomez pretty closely. Carlos Gomez, Bob, is fortunate that this game didn't take place in the 60s or early 70s, because if he didn't have the ear flap, it could have been really bad.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, this one was right at his face. He turned away from it, took it off the ear flap. It's probably a good thing that the helmet gave the way it did, kind of shot off his head over toward the Cubs on deck circle. That absorbed a lot of the velocity off of that fastball.
All this happening with 2 outs. Diamond struck out the first 2 of the inning as Edmonds hits that hard foul behind Ed Cedar, the first base coach. Swing and a miss, so he strikes out 3 in the inning. But Milwaukee gets on the board. They get 1, and the Cubs are coming up. Colvin, Starlin Castro, the rookies at the top. Lee, Ramirez, Bird, Soriano, the veterans in the middle. Giovanni Soto putting together a solid season is behind the plate. Blake DeWitt, 3rd straight start at 2nd and hitting 8th, and Thomas Diamond in his big league debut.
And for the Milwaukee Brewers, the same lineup they featured last night with Braun, Edmonds, and Hart across the outfield. McGee and Escobar on the left side of the infield. Ricky Weeks and Prince Fielder on the right side. Jonathan Lucroy behind the plate tonight for left-hander Chris Narveson. Right-handers have had a much better go of it against Narveson than the lefties. I mentioned that curveball. When he has that good, it's a real good, short, sharp, late-breaking curve. And when he's throwing that pitch where he wants, he can be extremely tough.
Mentioned off the top, had a rough month of July. Fly ball out toward Braun, who comes in and records the out. So Colvin retired. It brings up Starlin Castro. Back-to-back lefties in this series, as Manny Parra will pitch tomorrow afternoon. Ryan Dempster will get the start. Also right here on Comcast Sportsnet.
There weren't a lot of highlights in the ball game last night, but Starlin Castro, the only Cub hitter that really had a bead on Giovanni Gallardo, doubled in back-to-back at bats against the right-hander from the Brewers.
At least 2 hits in 11 of his last 19 games, including, as Bob mentioned, last night. We got our ballots for the Player of the Month in the National League, the Rookie of the Month, and Starlin Castro, an excellent candidate for the July Rookie of the Month. Out of the left center, a base hit.
You mentioned Ryan Dempster starting the game for the Cubs tomorrow. Our All-State good hands play. Never start too early. Ryan Dempster with his son Brady out here at Wrigley Field very early this afternoon. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Slide.
Brady's growing up fast. Here's Derek Lee outside, ball 1.
What a great opportunity for the youngsters of the players to get an opportunity to come out here very early in the afternoon before the day's work starts. And this is the world's biggest backyard right here.
Trevor Hoffman was out in the outfield. I assume one of his sons out there playing today before batting practice. Still a little sun coming through the grandstand right behind third base. Prince Fielder's okay. Ivan De Jesus, however, is guarding his eyes as he gets a good look at Narveson from that first base coach's box. The 2-1 to Lee is low, 3 balls and a strike. And Bob, to continue our third base coaching instructional, we had a shot of Mike Quade in Colorado with a runner at second base, and he was probably 70 feet from home plate. Well, in this spot, he's way behind the bag with a runner at first.
Now, should Derek Lee hit a ball to the outfield, Mike Quade wants to position himself where Castro can pick him up quickly as he rounds second base. And then if the ball would happen to roll through the gap or whatever, Quade will come down the line with Starlin Castro and either send him home or stop him. If he sends him home, he will then run back up the line again to catch Derek Lee as he gets to second base.
Fly ball to deep right. Hart back on it. This ball slicing. It's going to be fair off the warning track, and Derek just bit it around first base. Castro on his way to the plate, and he's going to score. And it's going to be a long single for Derek Lee, who blew out a tire around first base. It's 1-1, a game-tying RBI single for Lee. And it looks like Derek's all right, although he's going to be scraped up after really taking a spill. And Prince Fielder's trying not to laugh.
A fastball down and over the plate. D-Lee got the barrel on it. Very hard with a long run over into that right field corner. And there you see Starlin Castro as Mike Quade waves him on home to tie the ball game up. And Derek was watching the play down in the corner, and I'll tell you, the grounds crew comes out before the ball game, Len, as you well know, and they water down the infield dirt in the area around home plate, and invariably some of that water ends up on top of the bases. And when you're wearing metal cleats or rubber cleats for that matter, and you step on a wet base, it is like stepping on ice. Why players try to hit the corners of the base where their foot is really in the dirt and they're just catching the edges of the base rather than step right on top of the base. See, Derek steps right on top of the bag. That left foot just slid right off of the base.
Ramos Ramirez swings and misses. Chris Narveson has had a lot of first inning trouble this season. Golfed high in the air. Ryan Braun coming in. The shortstop Escobar waving off the outfielders, and he makes the catch.
With these two teams in the Central Division, and with Escobar and Starlin Castro as the featured shortstops, these two guys are going to hook up a lot over the in the future.
If you look at Narveson's splits over the first 15 pitches of an outing, he's given up a .380 batting average. The next 15, .343. Once he gets over 30 pitches, it goes down to .224, .222. So the first inning plus has been a real problem for this left-hander. 11 home runs allowed over the course of the first 30 pitches of his starts this season. I know you see all the first inning runs, 22 in 18 starts. Knocked down. Lee is going to hold after thinking about it, but Lucroy pounced on it. 1-1 on Marlon Byrd. Narveson making his 18th start. He's also made 9 relief appearances, and when you're a reliever, those numbers I just mentioned are even bigger. Sometimes you're not even going to get 30 pitches. At least as a starter, you have time to keep the game in check. A couple of guys in the lineup tonight have killed lefties, Byrd and Soto. Well, Ronnie Paulino always hits lefties.
Should be a breaking ball down.
It worked out as Byrd strikes out. But Derek Lee knocks in Starlin Castro, and we're tied 1-1 after 1. Baseball, there was a matinee this afternoon in Detroit, first of a day-night doubleheader. Juan Pierre for the White Sox, his first homer in over 800 at-bats in a 12-2 blowout win. Detroit leading the nightcap 5-0 in the top of the sixth. And with that win, the White Sox a game and a half up on the Minnesota Twins starting play this evening. The Twins trail at Tampa Bay 3-2 in the fifth. Shortstop Alcides Escobar, 0-1 is up and in on a curveball that didn't break. Escobar made a couple of nice plays in center field after Carlos Gomez exited. Generally, your shortstop or center fielder is your team's best athlete.
After the catcher.
Of course. After the catcher, yes. Sorry. $25 fine to the play-by-play man. Swing and a miss, so all the outs Diamond has recorded have been strikeouts. Don't miss the action as the Cubs battle the Reds this Friday. Game time 1:20, but be sure to arrive early. The first 10,000 fans will receive a Cubs 3-ring binder, compliments of Promo Works. There on the catcher, Lucroy. Showalter making his managerial debut with Baltimore tonight. The Orioles lead the Angels 3-2 in the bottom of the sixth. Howie Kendrick with a homer for the Angels. Luke Scott with his 19th as Lucroy lines out to Derek Lee. I know you're pretty familiar with Buck Showalter. This might be the biggest challenge of his career.
Well, he's a man that's always looked forward to a challenge. I've said many times I was the beneficiary of a lot of the work that he did putting that Arizona Diamondbacks organization together from scratch. I can't imagine you could do a much better job than Buck Showalter did starting that franchise and getting the pieces in place, and he's up for the challenge in Baltimore.
Strike on the pitcher, Narveson. Well, Roy Halladay will not pitch another perfect game at Florida, but in his first start there since the perfect game, he has gone 5 innings and has allowed just 2 hits and 1 run, and the Phillies lead in the sixth 5-1. Carlos Ruiz with 3 hits, including a home run. Boy, Diamond has missed a lot of bats early on. 5 punch-outs through 2, 1-1. It's early. Very, very quiet. Actually, I don't think it matters.
No, I don't think so.
A lot of parents, to get their youngsters to sleep, they put them in the car and drive around the block a few times.
But as soon as you pull in the garage, they wake up.
Alfonso Soriano will lead off the Cubs second against Chris Narveson. Each team with a run in the first inning. Brewers went down in order in the second against Diamond. Great baseball name, Thomas Diamond.
And even his initials, TD, that makes a good clubhouse nickname.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what a lot of guys do. They just hang your initials on you for your nickname.
I wonder if we'll hear some Neil Diamond when he comes to the plate.
So good, so good.
I think that was right where Narveson wanted it, but it worked. As Lucroy set up on the inside corner, the pitch was over the plate, but I don't think Soriano was expecting a curveball. Slider that time buried. Actually, it was a curve, 74. 2-2 on the Cubs left fielder. Soto on deck, and then Blake DeWitt.
It seems like it's about time for Fonzie to heat up. We all know he's been a very streaky hitter throughout his time here in Chicago. He can carry the team on his shoulders for weeks at a time, and then he disappears for weeks at a time. And it seems appropriate that it's about time for him to heat up.
Weighted back, pops it into shallow right center. Edmonds cruising and catching.
Maybe next at bat. That's that breaking ball from Narveson we talked about at the top of the show. When he's commanding that pitch, throwing it in the dirt when he's ahead in the count, throwing it for strikes when he's behind in the count, that's when he's at his best.
I'll tell you, Bob, Jim Edmonds has great radar for the baseball. I think as good as anybody in this era. No, he doesn't have the foot speed he once had, but he just always seems to know where the ball's going to land.
Well, obviously, the center fielder has the advantage of the best view in the outfield. You see where the pitch is in relation to the hitter. Is it inside, outside, up, down? You see that hitter's bat come through the zone. Is he in front of the ball? Is he behind the ball a little bit? Is he under it? Is he over it? And Jim Edmonds puts that all in his computer, and many times is moving before contact is even made at home plate.
That's why he's won 8 Gold Gloves. When he became a Cub, I said, why do you play so shallow? He said, I'm not playing shallow. Everybody else plays deep. And that was a great answer.
I think most outfielders, the ball they fear the most is the one hit over their head, so they play a little bit deeper so that doesn't happen as often. Unfortunately, the byproduct of playing deep is you get a lot of humpback liners, a lot of floaters that fall in front of the outfielders, and that's the one Edmonds wants to take away.
I'm sure Jim Edmonds has helped a lot of pitchers make a little more money because he is not afraid to go back on a ball and make a catch running directly away from home plate. 3-2 on Soto. The wind and the pitch. Ground ball. Fair past Casey McGee. Braun will chase it down. And Soto has a 1-out double.
Nice piece of hitting by Giovanni Soto. Took that fastball right in the middle of the plate and spanked it past Casey McGee. Down into the left field corner. Lance Barksdale, the third base umpire, got twisted around there trying to get out of the way of that hard hit ball, but he got the call right. With his back turned toward home plate, he signaled fair.
Now Blake DeWitt, who actually grew up rooting for the Cardinals. That's not the case anymore. It really hasn't been since he was taken by the Dodgers 6 years ago in the draft. Sikeston, Missouri. called strike. 1-1 on Blake. The first team All-American shortstop in high school. Hit .548 with 14 home runs and 88 at bats. As a pitcher in high school, he was 27-1 over his 4-year career. There goes the bat. 1-2.
Odd. He uses a bat with the word dinger near the trademark for a guy that doesn't hit a lot of home runs from our Coors Light RoboCam. That bat coming right back at you. That's almost always on some kind of a straight changeup or a split finger, some kind of an off-speed pitch where the hitter sees the ball out of the pitcher's hand. He thinks it's going to be a fastball. He starts to swing and then sees the off-speed pitch and really tries to extend, loosen his grip just a little bit, and that bat comes right out.
Scooped up by Weeks, who gets the out at first. Soto at third, but 2 outs, and the pitcher Diamond coming up to make his first career plate appearance.
Well, we don't know yet if Thomas Diamond can hit or not, but he is a big presence in that batter's box.
He was excited that he was officially put on the active roster yesterday before batting practice. Got to take some swings before game 1 of this series.
Like that one rattled off the mask of Jonathan Lucroy. Caught that very right side of the mask where it extends out both sides to protect the ears a little bit, and that one caught right off the ear guard and turned the mask around. That's one of the things that's very enlightening. If you ever have the opportunity to go to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, the evolution of baseball equipment, you would be amazed to see some of the catcher's gear that was worn in the early days of this game.
Probably didn't protect a whole lot.
No.
1-2. I'm almost afraid to ask when the protective cup was invented.
I think it was right after the first nasty foul tip.
Yeah, I would think so. Tried to sneak a backdoor curve on him and missed. 2-2. Waited back and fouled it off. My guess is that particular piece of equipment had to evolve over time. It probably started as a big hardcover book.
Or a saucepan.
Anything.
Something.
Give me something.
A thimble.
Two and two on Diamond. Soto at third, 2 down.
Good battle. Staying alive. We talk about it all the time. Even if you're not a good hitting pitcher, you can do your offense some good by just fouling off a number of pitches, make that opposing pitcher work a little bit harder out there, run up that pitch count. Ideally, it ends with a base hit. Let's see how this one ends.
This guy's hoping the game ends a lot different than last night. John Cusack, Chris Chelios, and Eddie Vedder. Look out. Soto almost got clipped. He was in foul ground. And a smile from his battery mate. You're right about Diamond. 6'3", 240. He was definitely put together. Low and inside. He's run it full, 3-2. Our crack production staff has told me that the Protective Cup was invented in 1874, 2 years before the National League began play, and it was a sporting goods company in Chicago.
Of course it was.
3-2 to Diamond. Got it. Inside corner. Fastball for called strike 3. But he gave him a good battle. At the end of 2, as you look down the Chicago River, 1-1. Weeknights at 5:30. Don't miss Chicago Tribune Live on Comcast Sportsnet. Tribune writers, sports stars, and celebrities join host David Kaplan to discuss the day's hottest sports topics. Don't miss Chicago Tribune Live, presented by Harris Bank. Weeknights at 5:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. And a look at the Cubs minor league report. Michael Hoffpauir has been hot. Brian LaHare, the PCL Offensive Player of the Week for Iowa. At Double-A Tennessee, Brandon Geyer, the Offensive Player of the Week in the Southern League. And look at Michael Brenly. He has been hot lately and hit a home run, his 5th. The Daytona Cubs at one time had a 14-game losing streak before losing the nightcap of a doubleheader last night. Wow.
14-game winning streak.
Or winning streak. Sorry about that. Yes. Rebel Ridling, the Florida State League Offensive Player of the Week. 14. That's 2 straight weeks without a loss.
Yeah, 8 of those came on a road trip. 8 consecutive games off of the bus.
Peoria had a 7-game winning streak. That came to an end last night. Brett Wallach, in his Cubs organization debut, suffered the loss. 3 earned runs and 4 1/3 for Peoria. Where did he hit the home run?
Left field.
Just like his dad.
Yep. Unlike his dad, he's got a little power to all fields. I could work it right down that third baseline. Well, I've said this before, but if you ever get an opportunity to check out a minor league game, whether it be the Chiefs or the D-Cubs, Tennessee, Iowa, wherever it may happen to be, I would highly encourage you to get out there and check it out. It's a lot of fun, a lot of entertainment between innings, and some good baseball during the innings. Jackie Robinson Stadium down in Daytona, just a beautiful little ballpark, sitting right on the river across from downtown Daytona.
Three and one on Ricky Weeks. 5 strikeouts for Diamond the first time through the order. Big cut by Weeks. It's now full 3-2.
And another thing you'll find at some of those minor league parks is you can get your belly full either of food or beer different nights of the week. They have a deal where for $11 in Daytona you get a ticket to the ball game and all you can eat. Are you kidding me? Can't be a better deal than that.
Yeah. That's high, ball 4. And a second walk issued by Diamond. The first walk was to Braun with 2 outs in the first, and he would eventually score on a single by Casey McGee. See how it goes the second time through the order as the Brewers all got a chance to talk to one another about what they saw from this rookie righty. High for ball 1. Not only did Corey Hart start in the All-Star game for the injured Jason Hayward, but he participated in his first home run derby, hit 13 in the first round, the most of any player, but then was shut out in the second round. Guys have run away from the home run derby like it's the disabled list. Way outside on the pitch out. Good job by Soto to flag it down. 2-0 on Corey Hart.
I think that home run derby sounds like a good idea as you get one more look at this pitch out. Way out. Ideally, you just put it in the other batter's box. For a right-handed hitter, you throw it right through the middle of the left-handed box and vice versa with a left-handed hitter.
Well, that's the problem with pitching out. Now it's 3-0 with Braun and Fielder coming up next.
Now that home run derby, as I said, it seems like a good idea on the surface. It sounds like a lot of fun, but then you actually get in there and do it, and everybody that does it, especially the first year, it's a shock. It's not like your daily batting practice where you hit a few balls to right field, hit a few up the middle. Oh, you're up there trying to hit every ball as far as you can. No cage, which feels very strange. It's not like you're used to for your normal batting practice. And ultimately, guys get a little arm weary in the last rounds.
Well, sure. I think it's a little too long, too many rounds, and guys take too many pitches. I think everything changed after Bobby Abreu's experience. Swing and a miss. Hart was looking for heat and got a changeup instead. Abreu hit like 41 and then went into a deep home run slump in the second half. That's when a lot of guys started to think twice about the home run derby.
And I know a lot of managers thought twice about allowing their players to participate.
That's ball 4. So second base umpire Ron Culpa looking at the home plate umpire Ed Rapuano before he had to make a call.
Giovanni Soto doesn't have the luxury of waiting to hear what the call is at home plate. I mean, unless it's a horrible pitch in the dirt or way outside or way up, if it's anywhere near that strike zone, you have to assume it's going to be called a strike, and a little bit of a check swing from Corey Hart on top of it. Well, go ahead and deliver that ball. Let the umpire sort it out later. One of the better throws we've seen from Gio lately.
Yeah, Weeks would have been out. So 2 on, no outs. Normally not a good recipe for success. You walk the number 1 and 2 hitters in any lineup, and especially one that includes Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder. They've combined for 40 home runs. Fouled back. They should have a hitting behind the runner contest.
Yeah.
How about a strike throwing contest? You know, like the skills competition at the NHL All-Star game. Put a board up there and have pitchers try to throwing on the outside corner right down the middle.
Sack bunt competition.
Yeah.
They used to have a skills competition, but if I'm not mistaken, Cincinnati Reds shortstop Barry Larkin injured his arm. They actually had a bushel basket set up at home plate, and a relay throw came in from the outfield, and the shortstops that were competing turned around and tried to see who could make the most accurate throw to home plate, and I think Larkin injured his elbow, if I'm not mistaken, in that competition. So that all kind of went by the boards shortly thereafter.
Got in on Braun and splintered his bat. You could come up with all kinds of fun stuff. Defensive drills and the like.
May see a return to that. I mean, we're seeing a returned emphasis in the game itself on pitching and defense and fundamental baseball, since the home run has become less of a factor in the last few years here at the major league level. And I'll tell you what, those baseballs that they use for the home run derby, they have Titleist written on the side. I mean, they are rock hard baseballs.
Braun got out in front of it. Home run distance. Still 1-2. Sometimes after early batting practice, teams will play a game called 3-2. Every batter who steps in the box, there's a 3-2 count. And they don't have fielders out there, but wherever you hit the ball, the batting practice pitcher will determine whether it was a hit or an out. And you keep score like you would normally. Swing and a miss. Big strikeout for Thomas Diamond. We play a game of 3-2 with the league's best hitters.
Perfectly located four-seam fastball right on the outside corner at the knees. Braun was definitely in pull mode throughout that at bat.
Seven outs recorded by Diamond. 6 have been strikeouts, and those have all been of the swinging variety as Prince Fielder whiffs strike one.
Hey, look at the stat sheet for Prince Fielder. I'm kind of surprised to see he's only grounded into 6 double plays all season long. But if you think about it, it makes sense. He's a fly ball hitter. He tries to lift the ball in the air to the outfield. Teams put this exaggerated shift on for him, and it's not easy to turn a double play when you have your infield swung around to the right side the way the Cubs and other teams do against Prince Fielder.
Kick and the 1-1 caught the outside corner. 1-2. Prince plays every day. This is his 293rd consecutive game, the longest current streak in the majors and the longest in Brewers history. And there is a lot of value in durability. He's played in at least 157 games since 2006. He pops it up. And Ramirez and Soto will just watch it drop into the second or third row behind the dugout.
Well, not much wind blowing here at Wrigley Field tonight. Earlier during batting practice, it was blowing from the right field corner to the left field corner, and a little bit of wind that we have blowing right now doing the same thing. May have pushed that ball up into the front row there.
Another 2-2, and that will split the gap in right center and give Milwaukee its second lead of the night. Ricky Weeks coming in to score. So those walks hurting Thomas Diamond again. Fielder was 6 RBIs in the series.
There's another fastball, not a poor pitch, just above the knees on the outside corner, but to a guy who covers a plate like Prince Fielder, he can reach out and pull that ball back to right center. Nice hustle by Marlon Byrd to get over and cut that ball off. It looked like it was going to go all the way to the track, but Byrd got there and was able to hold Prince Fielder to a single.
Fielder also with 7 hits in the first 2 games. Cubs are looking for a double play ball here. But Thomas Diamond has not yet coached a ground ball out. D fouls off. Ken Hurt from Elias helped us out. I asked the question last night when Casey Coleman faced Casey McGee in his major league debut. It was the first time that a pitcher named Casey, who was making his big league debut, faced a batter named Casey. For the first batter faced by that pitcher. That's a common first or last name in either case. No pun intended. Casey against Casey. It never happened prior to last night.
Well, we've seen a lot of firsts over the last week.
That's the only fun one, though, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the rest weren't so much fun. You talked about the way this inning started with the back-to-back walks to Weeks and Hart, and then you mentioned Braun and Fielder coming up next. Not exactly what you had in mind. I think that's a common refrain around baseball. People forget Casey McGee. This guy is a clutch RBI man. He doesn't have to hit home runs to drive in runs, as he proved in his first at-bat, lining a single into center field. He'll hit the ball to all parts of the ballpark, especially in RBI situations. He's just as likely to hit a line drive to right field as to pull one to left.
The 2-2 to McGee, and I think it's self-defense. He did. He swung at it. I think he was trying to get out of the way, but his bat went around.
There's no question the bat got out there in front of the plane of the front of home plate. It may have been self-defense, as you mentioned, trying to spin away from that pitch that was up and in, but the bat definitely got out there.
The thing about that is intent doesn't matter. If it looks like a swing, it's a swing. 0-1 on Edmonds. 2-1 Milwaukee here in the third. And a long inning for Thomas Diamond. Over 30 pitches just in this inning alone. Bob, according to great website baseballreference.com, Thomas Diamond is the first major leaguer ever with the last name Diamond. There have been many nicknames: Diamond Jim, Diamond John, Diamond Joe, but no surname of Diamond until tonight. Edmonds lines out to DeWitt. It's 2-1 Milwaukee midway in the third.
If you get to Wrigley Field early enough, and unfortunately most of the fans can't get in this early, but you may catch Tom Otis Hellman, clubhouse man supreme for the Cubs, barbecuing up some steaks for the boys. Boy, as hot as that looks, Otis never broke a sweat. He is a cool customer.
He is. Tyler Colvin takes ball one. We're in the bottom of the third. No better way to eat ice cream than out of a small plastic helmet.
Or a big plastic helmet. That
would even be better.
That'd be better.
Andrew McCutchen got beamed in the head in the Pirates game against the Reds, so he has left that contest. Hopefully he's all right.
Well, then we just came from Colorado, where we talked to their skipper, Jim Tracy. The Pirates had been into Colorado right before the Cubs, and Tracy could not say enough good things about Andrew McCutchen and his defensive play in that series. He said he made a number of highlight reel plays. We've seen Andrew McCutchen at his best this year as well.
Former Cub Mark Pryor is back in baseball, but he's in independent league ball, the Golden Baseball League's Orange County Flyers. They've agreed to a deal with Mark Pryor. I don't think he wants to end up in the Golden Baseball League, but wants to at least impress some major league scouts and try to come all the way back. Last pitch for the Cubs in 06.
Well, and given his history of injury problems, you can certainly understand why no team in Major League Baseball was willing to take a risk. But if he goes out and pitches some independent league baseball, proves he's healthy, proves he can still compete, it wouldn't surprise me to see somebody take a flyer on Mark Pryor. Take a flyer on Pryor.
He has not turned 30 yet. He will turn 30 on September 7th. Count even on Colvin. Narvison's next pitch. Chris Narvison has a World Series ring with the Cardinals in 2006. 5 appearances, 1 start that season. Did not pitch until late May that year after left shoulder surgery. Signed by Milwaukee as a minor league free agent prior to 08. Good at bat. Turns into a no at bat as Colvin takes the leadoff walk.
This Saturday is Supercuts Day at Wrigley Field. Game time is 12:05. The first 40,000 fans will receive a scratch and win card, and every card holder will win a lucky prize. Compliments of Supercuts.
So leadoff man on, and it's Starlin Castro. And he pops it foul. Not sure if he just went to Supercuts or is on his way. One strike on Castro. pitch. Caught the inside corner. Starlin thought it was a little low. 0-2. Couple of first basemen on the DL. Ryan Howard with an ankle injury. Kevin Youkilis with a thumb. Mike Lowell off the DL and in the starting lineup at first for the Red Sox. See Joey Votto and Orlando Cabrera out of the Reds lineup tonight. In Pittsburgh, Votto has a right wrist injury, and sounds like Cabrera's injury, an oblique, is a little more serious and could end up on the DL. He suffered that injury while swinging at a pitch last night. Pirates just got 6 in the second after a rain delay off Mike Leake. I think the delay happened before they even started the game. So 6-0 Pirates in the top of the third. We'll see the Reds starting Friday. We talked about this before, Bob. This is the time of year where you start to see a lot of guys with those nagging injuries. Day-to-day injuries become a week, then the DL stint. You get over 100 games, that grind really starts to get to guys. Weather's hot.
And unfortunately, some of those little nagging injuries, a slight hamstring twinge or a slight ankle sprain, they're just not going to go away for the rest of the year. You may play for a stretch of games where it doesn't bother you, but one time you overextend defensively running after a ball or trying to beat out a ground ball for a base hit, and it's going to come back and bite you again.
Swing and a miss. Castro not happy with himself. Went after the high fastball, and that's the first out.
And especially for those teams that are looking forward to the postseason, you don't really have the luxury of taking a week off and healing as close to 100% as you're going to get. You just tape it up, take another aspirin, and go out there and try to play through it.
There are two ways to look at it, though, aren't there? As we sit here in early August, a player who has an injury that probably needs a few days to let it get better. If you take it now, you might be okay for the stretch run, but you'd want to avoid that DL stint later and maybe miss out on the postseason altogether.
Yeah, and you want to make sure you're in the stretch run. So that's why a lot of guys at this time of year, it's not unusual to see them trying to play through those, we call them nagging injuries, but when they're injuries to your body, they're more than nagging. They're painful.
David Freese, third baseman of the Cardinals, is going to have season-ending surgery on his right ankle. 1-1 on Derek Lee. But I think the story of the day, and I make sure I jotted this note down. I know you're upset that the Manny Wood sign has come down in left field at Dodger Stadium.
Oh.
So we should probably have a moment of silence for that.
Okay, time's up.
Apparently that space had been for sale this season. They finally found another advertiser. But I guess they still have the Manny Wood promotion in place. 2 t-shirts, 2 tickets for $99, matching his uniform number. Did you take the Dodgers up on that when we were in LA?
No.
Oh, maybe that was somebody else. Low and inside, 2-2.
Yeah, I think the honeymoon's over there in LA for Manny. Foul ball right over by the Cubs on deck circle. Manny. Aramis Ramirez has to hit the deck. Chris Chelios ended up with that baseball and quickly flipped it over his shoulders with some fans over behind the Cubs dugout.
2-2 to Derek Lee. Pulled into left, a base hit. Colvin with the play in front of him. Round second, and Braun had trouble with it. Colvin takes third. Lee safe at second. Should be an error on Ryan Braun. Heads up base running by both Colvin and Lee.
Only the second error of the season on Ryan Braun out in left field. Normally a very cautious left fielder. And heads up by Colvin, who had gone hard from first to second to give himself the opportunity to go to third base. And Derek Lee, the trail runner, seeing the opportunity, puts himself into scoring position for Aramis Ramirez.
Pop-up by Aramis. He just put both hands on his helmet in frustration as Weeks makes a catch. 2 outs in the inning. So it'll be up to Marlon Byrd. Marlon struck out to end the first inning.
There's a little bit of a mathematical oddity I didn't notice until just this moment. I looked at Aramis Ramirez's numbers with runners in scoring position this season coming into play tonight. With runners in scoring position and less than 2 outs, he's a .217 hitter, 10 for 46. Runners in scoring position and 2 outs in the inning, he's 10 for 46, a .217 hitter. So combined, he hits .217 with runners in scoring position. That's kind of odd to have less than 2 outs and 2 outs be identical.
Well, normally he's very good in that spot. It's been a tough year all around. See, I think that number, Bob, those stats you just brought up, says more about Aramis in general this year than any sort of Aramis as a clutch hitter. Because normally he's really good overall and good in the quote clutch spots. This year he's not been good in most of those spots, save for a really hot stretch last week. Swing and a miss, 2-2. Colvin at third, Lee at second. A base hit should give the Cubs the lead. Bird strikes out for the second time, and Narveson escapes. It's 2-1 Milwaukee after 3.
My fourth meal from Taco Bell, open 1 a.m. or later.
Our Menards Grounds Crew winner tonight, Tom Barrett from Morton Grove. Keeping home plate nice and shiny.
You missed the spot, Tom.
It's keeping home plate clean and the infield dirty. Bottom three for Milwaukee, starting with Alcides Escobar, the shortstop who struck out in the second. Diamond starting him with a curveball inside, ball one. Pop fly, DeWitt out. He'll get it. Time now for our AT&T trivia question. A Brewers team in the 1990s collected 31 hits against which AL club that would win the World Series that same season? The question itself is instructive. You can have a historically bad game and still have a good season because you have 161 others. Milwaukee last night scoring at least 17 runs for the fourth time this season. The last NL team to do that was the 1936 Chicago Cubs. Only 9 times all season has a team this year scored at least 17, and the Brewers have done it 4 times. That is why some of their offensive numbers are a bit skewed. I mean, I guess you like the ability to score 17, but I think Ken Maka would prefer that instead of 17 one night, maybe 6 one night, 7 the next, and 5 the night after that.
Everybody likes a little balance in their life. Unfortunately, most of us have to deal with peaks and valleys.
They have scored a quarter of their season's runs in just 9 games.
Amazing.
They've played 107 games. And in 9 of them, they've scored 25% of their runs.
I'm going to have to ask Larry Rothschild tomorrow. And I was thinking last night as we were driving home after that stinker of a ball game, on occasion in a blowout game like that, especially when your bullpen is tattered and exhausted, a position player has been known to finish up a game like that. And I was thinking to myself on the way home, and when you do that, a lot of times it takes a little bit of the sting out of one of those lopsided games. In Arizona, we had Steve Finley pitch one day, and of course Mark Grace. And I'm telling you, the night Gracie pitched, the game was forgotten before we were even out of the showers. It was so much fun watching Gracie go out there and try to do his thing on the mound. He gave up a home run, but when we left the ballpark that night, it didn't have the same sting as it would have had we tried to finish that game with some tired relief pitchers. And I was trying to think to myself, who would the candidate be? If you had to have a position player throw an inning in a blowout game for the Cubs to try to take some of the sting out of it, who would it be?
Well, I mentioned Blake DeWitt was a pretty good high school pitcher. I think ideally it would be a utility player off your bench. Fly ball driven pretty well deep to right. Colvin's not going to get there. One hops the wall, and Lucroy has a double. Ball was smacked pretty hard, and that's their first extra base hit tonight.
I mean, as you well know, Len, my memory's not that good, but I think Doug DeCenzo was possibly the last Cubs position player to pitch in a blowout type of a ball game. As you see Lucroy driving one over the head of Tyler Colvin to right field.
On a bunting spot here for Narveson, runner at second, one out, and he pops it foul off to the left.
Especially not for a pitcher who came into the game hitting .310 on the season. He had 29 at bats coming into play tonight and only struck out 8 times, which maybe sounds like a lot for a position player, but for most pitchers, that is very, very respectable.
Well, there's been a lot of good tonight for Thomas Diamond. The stuff is very good. He has struck out 7. The downside is he has had to make a lot of pitches, which is probably going to shorten up this outing. He's already over 80, and we're only in the 4th inning. A lot of deep counts tonight. Five full counts. And he's gone 3-1 on the pitcher. You see Soto calm him down. Three and two. And a base hit into center. Lucroy is coming around third, and Marlon Byrd does not have a play on him. Chris Narveson helps his own cause and makes it 3-1. That's his 4th RBI of the year. Well, that hurts. The 8 and 9 hitters teaming up to get an insurance run.
Even when you're facing the opposing pitcher, if you get yourself into a predictable fastball count, bad things tend to happen. Elevated fastball up and over the plate to Narveson. He lined it right back where it came from. And I stand corrected, Lynn. The last position player to take the mound for the Cubs was third baseman Gary Gaetti back in July of '99 against the Phillies.
So it's been 11 years. We're talking in hypotheticals, but hopefully that is not a practical discussion again this season.
Yeah.
Wasn't it David Ross who hit his first major league home run off Mark Grace?
Yeah,
the game you're referencing?
Up into Friday's restaurant in left field.
Does that really count as a guy's first career home run when it comes off a position player?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they all count.
Gracie was out there doing his Mike Fetters impersonation. Mike Fetters, a right-handed reliever that used to take a big breath as he stood in his stretch position and whip his head around toward his catcher to get the sign. And in the process of pitching in that one inning that Gracie pitched for us, he was doing his Fetters impersonation out there on the mound. Everybody had a good chuckle about it.
Last week, Joe Inglet of the Brewers made his first career appearance on the mound. A scoreless 9. 6 pitches, 5 strikes. He was really good. It was against the Cincinnati Reds. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Weeks is gone. Bob, did you know the 8 strikeouts for Thomas Diamond are a career high?
Is that right?
Yeah. Every strikeout he gets tonight, it's a new career high.
Well, when he struck out Weeks to start the game, it was a new career high.
You're good. See, it comes full circle. Going back to Mark Pryor in 2002. So Diamond just a couple of strikeouts away from that, thanks to Elias with that information. That debut was a little more ballyhooed, though. It was a huge spotlight on Mark Pryor in 2002. 1-2 on Corey Hart. Buck Showalter's 1-0 as the manager of the Baltimore Orioles. They beat the Angels 6-3 tonight in Baltimore. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. 9 Ks. A new career high for Diamond. But they get a run. It's 3-1 in the fourth. Collected 31 hits against which AL team that would win the World Series that same year? It was a 1992 Toronto Blue Jays 22-2. Milwaukee with the win. He then named Skydome. Alfonso Soriano leading off the last of the fourth and takes a strike from Chris Narveson. Foul pop back to the seats. 0-2. Astros leading again at St. Louis 6-3. Houston, the hottest team in the division at the moment, looking for its 7th straight win. There was a split in Detroit. The Tigers beat the White Sox in the nightcap 7-1. They were both blowouts. 7-1 Detroit in game 2, 12-2 White Sox in game 1.
4-12 for Mark Burley. He'll take your chances every day. He pitches like it's a 0-0 game regardless of the score.
Jeremy Bonderman over Carlos Torres in the night game. Paul Konerko hit his 26th home run for the White Sox. It's past everybody. 2-2. Tampa Bay leading Minnesota again 6-3 in the bottom of the 8th. The Rays starting the night tied with the Yankees, who lost at home to the Blue Jays again. 8-2 the final. A-Rod 0 for 3. I think we're closing in on 2 weeks since he hit .599.
Let me know when we get to 2 years.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. So Soriano comes all the way back from 0-2 to get it full before waving at strike 3. 5 punch outs for Narveson.
He did a nice job of laying off the breaking balls down in the zone, but his other area of weakness, the fastball up, just too tempting for Fonzie.
It was July 22nd when A-Rod took Rob Tejada deep. Kansas City Royals. Liner caught by Edmonds. Gio got good wood on it.
He's hit 2 balls hard tonight. The double down the third base line. Back in the second inning, he was stranded there, but another hard hit ball to straightaway center field.
Well, struck into right. Blake DeWitt with his first home hit as a Cub. Next weekend, 40 diehard Cub fans will get the ultimate game day and on-field experience with the Chicago Cubs Fantasy Camp. On August 8th, participants will enjoy a Cubs game in VIP style. On the 9th, they'll fulfill the lifelong fantasy of playing baseball here at Wrigley Field with instruction from Ernie Banks, Billy Williams, Rick Sutcliffe, and others. Space is limited, so call 773-404-4748 or email WrigleyExperience@Cubs.com today. That's this weekend. Diamond took a call third in his first career at bat, but it was a 10-pitch sequence. Todd Helton off the DL and in the Rockies lineup, batting second and playing first. Giants lead the Rockies 5-0 in Denver in the 4th. I don't see Dexter Fowler in the Rocky lineup. He did not get placed on the disabled list today. Jonathan Herrera was sent to the minors. Swing and a miss to end the inning. Soto with a 2-out single, but the Cubs fail to cash in. It's 3-1 Brewers. Time for the Cabot Woodstein legendary performance on this date 4 years ago. First game of a rescheduled doubleheader here at Wrigley. Stephen Drew of the Diamondbacks with a homer and a triple to drive in 4 as Arizona won 10-2. The Cubs then won 7-3 as Matt Merton tied a major league record with 4 doubles. He would knock in 5. Braun, Fielder, and McGee against Thomas Diamond. Diamond has had one 1-2-3 inning. That was the second. He has struck out 9 over the first 4 innings. He's also walked 3. 2 of the batters he walked would eventually come around to score, including Braun in the first inning. Big swing by Braun, who lost his footing a bit. And a vicious hack 0-2.
He's sliding all over the place. Sometimes you get a little dirt caught up underneath those cleats or between the cleats, and they don't get the same bite when you take your stride forward, and that front foot just slid right out from under it.
Roller up the middle and through for a hit. Derek Lee telling Ryan Braun, I know what it feels like. I slipped a little earlier. Mine's going to be all over the highlight reel.
From the Coors Light RoboCam, just a hard ground ball back over the mound into center field. Castro had shaded a couple steps toward the hole for the pull hitting Ryan Braun, and found the gap up the middle.
Got to find a way to cool off Prince Fielder, who has 7 hits in the series. Double play ball. Castro takes it himself. 6-3.
Good decision that time by Castro with that awkward shift on for Prince Fielder. He could have flipped to Aramis Ramirez covering second base, but he knew he had time to get to the bag and beat Fielder with the relay throw on to first. So why not eliminate one toss if you can?
It's a first ground ball out, and I guess it would be outs. Recorded by Thomas Diamond. Everything else has been a strikeout or in the air. A couple of line outs. Pop out. And that speaks to his stuff. A 4-seam fastball. He does not throw a sinker. The 1-0 to Casey McGee. Hit foul out of play. Thomas Diamond learned how to pitch by reading instructional books, about 30 or 40 according to his dad Ricky. Mentioned he grew up in Louisiana, not very far from where the AAA Zephyrs play, and he gets McGee to foul out to Derek Lee. That's what he needed, a 7-pitch 5th inning. Bottom 5, it'll be the top of the order against Chris Narveson, with the Brewers leading 3-1. Yeah, thanks. It's 3-1 Milwaukee. And it's the top of the order for the Cubs. Colvin, Castro, and Lee, who have combined to reach base 4 times tonight. The only run the Cubs had was Castro scoring in the first. In fact, the only 2 runs in the series have been scored by the rookie Castro. Ground ball wide of first. It's foul.
And just an oh, by the way, Len, Matt Merton was our Cabot Legendary Performance featured player. Matt Merton, 3rd in the Central League of the Japanese Professional League. 3rd in batting average, 346. He's got 10 home runs and 57 runs driven in for the Hanshin Tigers.
Well, good for Matt. I hope he gets another shot at the big leagues. Off the end of the bat, Edmonds cruising, covers the ground, 1 away. Colvin and Castro, 2 of the Cubs' 8 rookies on the current active roster. About a third of the Cubs, as currently constructed, are rookies. 6 of them are pitchers. High fly up to Corey Hart. 2 quick outs. Watch Comcast Sportsnet Cubs game replays on demand with Xfinity TV from Comcast. Don't miss the action. Call 1-800-XFINITY today. Derek Lee 2 for 2 with an RBI. He's 1 double away from 400 in his career and 1 hit away from 1,800. Harbison from Asheville, North Carolina, dealing strike 1. It's 1-1 to Lee. Ball to right. Over near the barrier on that sidewall. It's Hart with enough room to get it in foul or fair territory rather. So 3 fly ball outs in a quick bottom of the 5th. 3-1 Milwaukee to the 6th. Tomorrow it's a Windy City doubleheader on Comcast Sportsnet at 12:30. Brian Dempster and the Cubs battle the Brewers. That's pregame live time. Bob and I take over at 1. First pitch 1:20, and then at 6. The White Sox try to keep a tight hold on first place against division rival Detroit. Cubs hosting the Brewers. The Sox at the Tigers beginning tomorrow at 12:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. Big crowd here at Wrigley Field. Thomas Diamond keeping his team in the game, trailing 3-1 in his big league debut, and facing Jim Edmonds. And a called strike. Boston beat Cleveland 3-1 tonight at Fenway Park. Mike Lowell with a home run in his return from the DL, and the bench is cleared in that one. In the 8th inning, Jensen Lewis threw behind Adrian Beltre. As Josh Beckett had hit a couple of Indian batters earlier in the game. It's another thing you start to see as we get into the dog days. Tempers get a little short.
Oh, yeah. And it's been, we're at that point of the season where there have been enough games played with each opponent that there might be a little history there and some payback time. With tempers running high, it's not unusual this time of year to see the benches clear. It's a lot more unusual than it used to be, because I'm sure there'll be some suspensions handed down.
Alvin went back now in a couple of steps. The wind has completely died, but as we know, that can change in a heartbeat. Just had a shot of Lou Piniella, just back from Tampa, Florida, where he attended the funeral services of his uncle, Joe Magadan, who passed away at age 92. Lou and Joe were very, very close. Actually, Joe lived in the Piniella household when Lou was a youngster, and Lou said he was like a father figure to him. Bender in there against Escobar, who is 0 for 2, a strikeout and a pop out for the Brewers shortstop. 3 hits last night, and that's his first hit this evening. Fans text camp to B-Hawks. That's 242-957 to join Blackhawks Mobile and be entered to win a VIP training camp festival experience on September 18th. That's camp to 242-957 for 2 free tickets, VIP seating during the Blackhawks scrimmages, and a player meet and greet. On our trip out to Denver, we had the off day on Thursday, and Judd Surratt from the Cubs radio team pointed out to me as we walked through downtown Vail that at one time the Dallas Stars had their training camp in Vail.
Really?
So some high altitude training. Can you imagine the hockey sprints on skates at altitude? I guess that'd get you ready for the season. They have a little hockey arena in downtown Vail. I want to say it's 8,000 or 9,000 feet. They're actually higher up in the mountains than in Denver. There's the Cubs radio team. Pat Hughes, Ron Santo, and in the background, Judd Surratt, and Matt Bolts, who's eating something. See, now Matt's starting to look busy, starting to move some dials.
The illusion of labor. Act like you're working.
Oh. Lucroy with a very defensive half swing, and the ball just kind of hit his bat. 0-2.
Diamond has a lot of ride on that 4-seam fastball, especially when he gets it up above the belt. That's a very effective pitch. You do that to any hitter, run a fastball right in on his knuckles like that as he's trying to get out of the way of the pitch. It's going to make you aware that this guy's got enough fastball to get in on my hands. I need to speed my swing up a little bit, and that's when he becomes susceptible to off-speed pitches.
Runner goes, and a drive hit way foul.
And that was a straight changeup. Unfortunately, not in a great location that time from Thomas Diamond. If he gets that pitch down or away from Jonathan Lucroy, he may get the swinging strike he's looking for.
Saw 110 pitches as Justin Berg is up in the bullpen. Be surprised if Diamond has thrown much more than this, 110 in the minors on the season. There are a couple of spots to be won in the rotation. After the trade of Ted Lilly, Diamond is pitching essentially in his spot. And now Carlos Silva on the DL to undergo tests after the high heart rate on Sunday at Colorado. Cubs pitch out. Escobar not running that time, 1-2. That's a good pitch to pitch out on. Ahead in the count. Ted's going to make his Dodger debut tonight against the Padres. We talked so much about Ted not getting a lot of run support with the Cubs. Well, he has to face Matt Latos tonight, so his teammates might not score a lot against a guy with 11 wins and a 245. A 2-2 on the way. Fouled back.
Happy 21st birthday today to Perry Papp here at the ballpark tonight. I'm going to say her name or his name without killing our audio guy down in the truck.
Popping your eaves. Yep. Looks like Soto wants to change up on this 2-2. Lucroy went down and elevated, and that's caught by Marlon Byrd. Chris Narveson working with a 3-1 lead, and he gave his team that extra run with an RBI single in the fourth.
This Brewers pitching staff has some guys that can swing the bat. Randy Wolf has been a good hitter throughout his major league career. We talked about Narveson hitting .310 coming into play today as that ball briefly got away from Derek Lee. And Giovanni Gallardo, last night's starter, with 4 home runs this season already. Shaking out that right hand. Good snap throw from Diamond. You see what happened there with Derek.
The only thing you wonder about is the residual effect from that spill he took earlier in the game. I'm sure that didn't feel too good. behind the pitcher again. 2-0 on Narveson.
In case you weren't with us earlier, Derek Lee with Starlin Castro on board in the first inning slipped off the top of first base and went down hard. And really came down hard on that right elbow. That's what he was looking at when he got up after the fall. Looked like his right wrist rolled underneath a little bit as well.
Narveson taking all the way. It's 2-1. Three and 1. Same spot as the fourth inning. The only difference is Escobar's not in scoring position like Lucroy was. And Narveson eventually singled home his battery mate on a 3-2 pitch. Wow. It has been a grind for Diamond. But again, his team's still in the game as Escobar takes off on a 3-2, and that's hit foul. Escobar runs on the next 3-2. This time he strikes out Narveson and ties the Cubs debut record of Mark Pryor. 10 strikeouts tonight for Thomas Diamond. Still 3-1 Milwaukee. Tuesday, August 17th is Polish Heritage Night here at Wrigley Field, presented by Pepsi. Watch the Cubs battle the Padres at 7:05. Don't miss the special discounts and Polish-themed activities before and during the game. Fans attending the contest can also get a commemorative Cubs cap with a $5 donation to Chicago Cubs Charities, which will help support Chicago's Polish community. For more information, visit Cubs.com. Last of the sixth, the Ramos Ramirez pushed off the plate by a Narveson fastball at 86. Not overpowering, but he's been effective. What are your thoughts on Thomas Diamond, Bob? I think he was apologizing to Derek Lee for that bad throw over to first. 10 strikeouts in 6 innings. It took him a lot of pitches to get through the 6, but if he's done, that's technically a quality start tonight. against the team that scored 18 last night.
Yeah, that's notorious for swinging the bats and hitting long balls. I thought he was pretty good tonight, especially pitching as deep into the ball game as he did with as many pitches as he had. We don't have the statistics for pitch counts at the AAA level this year, but we mentioned he only pitched into the 7th inning one time all year, so you have to assume this is a high in pitch count for Thomas Diamond, and he was still very effective right up to the end.
And to expand on our note about the strikeouts, in 90 years of record keeping since 1920, Diamond, the second Cub to get to double digits in strikeouts in his big league debut. The aforementioned Mark Pryor also struck out 10 on May 22nd of 2002 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. The stuff is good, no question about that. Marlon Byrd deep to center. Edmonds back on it, right at the base of the wall near the 400 marker for a double. Marlon was hoping that wind would start blowing out, but again, it's very quiet above the ballpark. It's still good enough for a 2-base hit.
Boy, a rare center cut fastball from Chris Narvis, and that went right down Main Street, and Marlon Byrd took it right back up the middle of the field. And talked about Jim Edmonds and how shallow he plays in center field. That's the one that's going to get him. A hard hit line drive to the base of the fence and straightaway center. No center fielder can get back quickly enough to make a play on that.
Soriano high in the air. Edmonds tracking. Getting behind the ball as he throws to third. Pretty good throw, but Byrd got in. Right-hander Todd Coffey up in the Brewer pen. Guess they're brewing some coffee, so to speak, in the bullpen.
Good tag in advance by Marlon Byrd. That fly ball reached the warning track in left center field. Looks like Kent Mock has seen enough.
So it will be the very energetic Todd Coffey who will make probably his shortest run in any ballpark from the bullpen to the game mound. Here he comes. It's the Lexus pursuing perfection call to the pen. We'll be back. Pennsylvania Cubs post-game live. We'll hear from the White Sox after a long day of doubleheader action in Detroit. Kip Lewis will report from Bears camp. Join Mark and Pat for Sports Night presented by Dex tonight after post-game live, only on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. Here's big right-hander Todd Coffey, runner at third, 2 outs. Cubs trail 3-1 here in the 6th as he faces Giovanni Soto. And with his first pitch slider outside, ball 1. DL time this season with a right thumb contusion. Just about 3 weeks in June. Two and 0. Inside that time, Blake DeWitt on deck. Fastball in there, 3-1. Coffey has pitched a lot coming into a game with runners on base. Former Cincinnati Red. Major League debut was with the Reds against the Cubs in 2005. Swing and a miss. Zach Braddock, one of their 2 left-handed relievers. Chris Capuano, the other. And the 3-2 pitch, swing and a miss. He struck him out on a slider. Pitch he struggled with to start the at-bat, but he rings up Giovanni Soto. Cubs leave a man stranded at third. It's 3-1 after 6. Go where Patrick Kane goes for Chicago's best steaks. Voted best steakhouse in Chicago by the Chicago Tribune Dining Poll, City Search, and Metro Mix. Harry Carey's Italian Steakhouse in Chicago, Lombard or Rosemont. Call 773 Holy Cow or visit harrycareys.com. Wisconsin native Justin Berg will face the top of the Milwaukee order here in the 7th. Hall of Fame broadcaster and Mr. Baseball Bob Uecker will conduct the stretch coming up. Bouncer up the middle and a base hit. First ball put in play by Ricky Weeks. 2 strikeouts, a walk, and now a single.
Now, Thomas Diamond had done a nice job against Weeks going up the ladder with that high four-seam fastball, and Weeks just could not lay off of it.
This is a part of the game here, Bob, that has been a real problem area for the Cubs lately. Middle relief. Diamond did everything you could have hoped for. 6 innings tonight. Cubs trail by 2, and the pen will try to keep the Brewers right where they are. Off the plate inside, 2-0. So Soto out to chat with Bird. And left-hander James Russell just got up.
I'm sure he's preparing for Prince Fielder in that 4 spot in the lineup should the Brewers have something cooking by that point.
Knee-high fastball, strike 1. 3-1 to Hart. Corey Hart was drafted as a first baseman by Milwaukee 10 years ago. And a couple of years later, a guy named Prince Fielder was drafted, and they said, Corey, could you move over to third base? Which he did, and eventually went to the outfield. That was the right call. Weeks runs a pop-up as Castro doing the right thing, and Hart came about a third of the way up the line. Starlin Castro was considering letting that ball drop for a shot at a double play. That's a heads-up play by Castro.
You see Weeks on the move, the little jam shot pop up to the left side of the infield. Weeks immediately retreating to first base, and Castro with a quick peek just to see what was going on with the batter Corey Hart. I think they may have been able to turn to if he lets that ball drop. Of course, if you let it drop, there's no guarantee it's going to bounce right back up into your glove. It may have some side English and bounce away. It may bounce and hit you in the leg or something. And as we always say, get it out, take it out.
Braun singles for his 7th hit of the series.
Looking for a great venue for your next party? The Captain Morgan Club at Wrigley Field has over 8,000 square feet of indoor and outdoor space for unmatched access to Wrigley Field. It's Wrigleyville's premier private party location. To book your party, call 773-404-4750.
Blue has the lefty Russell ready.
Now we're going to
good eats.
Going to keep a close eye on that young man. Let his face nice and clean. Check back in about 10 minutes. He'll have chocolate from ear to ear.
I don't see any napkins in the area.
That's why they invented shirt sleeves. Russell taking over to face the powerful left-handed hitting Prince Fielder. Fielder 1 for 4 against the Cubs lefty.
Weeks at second, Braun at first. A 3-1 Milwaukee lead. Here's the pitch. Big cut and a miss. And a slider from Russell. It's a home run swing right there. From a home run hitter. Another one. Okay, so back-to-back sliders, 2 swings and misses. You come right back with that pitch?
Well, for me, you do, yeah. I mean, maybe scoot it over a little bit further away from Prince Fielder, try to get one more swing and a miss. Looks like that's what they're going to go with right here. Another slider low and away.
And he almost got Fielder to bite.
Now, if you're going to throw a fastball in this sequence, now would be the time to do it, because he kind of led Fielder further and further to the outside part of the plate. He was able to check his swing on the last one. If you wanted to throw a fastball, you could stand him up inside and then go back away with the next pitch.
They are going to go up.
And this is where your history against a certain hitter comes into play. I mentioned James Russell's faced Prince Fielder 4 times. Fielder's had 1 hit. And I'm sure James Russell remembers the sequences that he used when he got Fielder out. And he also remembers the sequence when Fielder got his hit.
Russell ready. And he hit him. And Ed Rapuano warning both benches. So that's the second straight night warnings have been issued.
That's the 18th time this season that Big Prince has been flunked. That one got him right between the numbers, it appeared. Just a fastball that got away. Actually, he was able to get that elbow guard up there and protect himself a little bit.
Only his infield partner Ricky Weeks has been hit more often, 19 times in the National League. Marlon Byrd third on that list, 16 hit batters. So they're loaded up for Casey McGee. Is Ed Rapuano taking a dinner order right now? What is he writing on his card? He's been writing for a good 35 seconds.
The umpires file a report after every ball game, especially if there have been warnings issued or if there have been ejections, and he probably just wants to make a little notation for when he files his report after the game. What was the count? What was the game situation? Why did you issue the warning?
McGee could not hold up. Strike 1. Right-hander Andrew Kashner now up in the bullpen. Oh, 2.
I'll tell you right now, some of the swings we've seen from Fielder and Casey McGee, two really good RBI hitters against that slider. I don't know if I'd throw anything else. Having trouble commanding his fastball, obviously hitting Fielder in the middle of the back with one. He's kept that slider down at the bottom of the zone, and it doesn't look like the Brewers hitters are immediately picking up the spin.
Line shot, Marlon Byrd lays out, makes the catch. It'll be a sac fly as Weeks scores. And Marlon Byrd does it again. It's now 4-1. That ball was smoked by Casey McGee. Good hand from this crowd for Marlon Byrd.
Well, sinking quickly as it got out there in the gap in left center. Not only does he make the catch, but he gets to his feet quickly to make sure that Ryan Braun was not able to tag up and advance on to third base.
First and second for Jim Edmonds. Again, Bob Uecker coming up with the 7th inning stretch. For ball one. That run charged to Justin Berg. Tell you what, he's in pretty good shape.
Doing pretty good.
Yeah. Pop-up, Blake DeWitt out in shallow right. Now coming over and in as the wind has kicked up. They get one. Here comes Mr. Baseball.
The ball game in his return to Wrigley Field from heart surgery. The voice of the Milwaukee Brewers, Bob Uecker.
All right, everybody, here we go. 2-4.
Never get back, oh I'll root for the Brewers. You do the same for the Cubs. Then it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Thank you very much. I love y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Baseball, the Hall of Fame broadcaster, the voice of the Brewers, Bob Uecker.
Lenny, how are you? Nice to see you, Bobby.
How you doing, Uecker?
I'm doing good, man. It's great to be back.
Well, it's great to see you back at the ballpark.
I'm not kidding you, man. This is real therapy. This is about as far as they let me travel so far, but I always love coming here and Fans are great here, and I have a good time. Every time I sing here, I have a good time. I really do. I love when the people boo and holler at me. And
they're yelling you.
Really, yeah, I know. I know what they're doing. A couple years ago, they didn't even sing. They sang a cappella after I was done. That was beautiful. How you guys doing? Good?
We're doing all right. It's been a tough stretch for the team, but as you know, as a broadcaster, you come to the park hoping for something good to happen every day. And as DeWitt pops it up, and Lucroy is going to have just enough room to make the catch for the first out.
Well, the Brewers, too, had a tough time down in Houston. I know you guys did, too, in Colorado. They lost 3 down there and were down 5 in a row until that win last night. But, you know what? What are you going to do about it? Bobby, you did it both as a player, manager, coach, everything else. There's nothing you can do about it. You go out there and keep hacking and hope somebody turns in a good performance in a starting role, and your hitters start catching up and, banging some ball. I always get a kick out of when a club, especially a club like Milwaukee, they...
Kosuke Fukudome has just hit a pinch hit home run. Way back in the bleachers. Now, Bob, you wouldn't say this for a Cub home run, but if it were a Brewer, you would have said, get up, get out of here,
and gone.
That's your signature call.
But you know what? It's hard when you have a club like Milwaukee, and they're basically a home run hitting club, and then writers and newspaper people and media tell you, well, if they'd stop hitting home runs and swing, singles, that's hard to do. I mean, here's Fukudome comes up there and takes a pitch and unloads it for a home run. That's what I want. I mean, if you talk about breaking out of a slump, that does it for you.
So it's now 4-2, and Ken Maka is going to make a change. He's going to go with left-hander Zach Braddock with Tyler Colvin coming up. We're with Bob Uecker. 4-2 Milwaukee here in the bottom of the 7th. We'll tell Corey Provis, your partner, we're not going to let you go, okay? Let's just call to the pen. We'll be back with Uecker in a moment. Brewers and Mr. Baseball. Here's a pitch to Colvin that is inside. Bob, I got to ask you this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever told you this. I mean, I worked with you a couple of games,
yes,
maybe 10 years ago, filling in for your longtime partner, Jim Powell. And I actually learned your scoring system when you keep score during the games.
Yeah.
I'm curious
to know. Is that what you use?
Absolutely.
Really?
H8, do the 4 for the homer, the whole thing. Yeah. I want to know where you learned or who taught you how to keep scores. Colvin gives that one a ride, and Hart's going to make the catch. Did you just devise this yourself, or everybody has a little twist on how they score games?
Yeah, the first guy I worked with, and you knew him very well, Lenny, was Merle Harmon. And Merle Harmon scored similar to that. I changed a couple of them. But, I've seen other guys who color a square or color half a square for a double or one little diamond for a base hit. I always thought H8, H7, H9 were, fly to the outfield, whatever. And 5-3, 6-3, we know what the infielders are, but I always thought that was easier, and I knew what happened and make a dot for an RBI. I never made anything too simple. I mean, I only, the same stuff in school. That's the way I wrote in school, too.
Well, I want to thank you for giving me what I think is the best scoring system around. And
every time I did that in the school, at TV, what is this? I said, that's how you score a game.
Want to know on Starlin Castro. It is one of the great things about this game, and I was saying this to somebody the other day. We don't write anymore.
No.
We're always on our computers. We're sending emails. We're on our phones sending texts. Mm-hmm. I do more writing on my scorecard than in any other area in life.
See, I don't use a computer. Once in a while, I don't know how. I'll be honest. I really don't know much about a computer, but I can text. I can do that. And but scoring a game is you're right, for me. That's about the only writing I do too. And Merle Harmon kept his books. Well, you don't keep a book, do you?
I just I keep the book.
I got you.
All
Okay.
the cards that they give us in the press box.
Got you.
Everybody's a little different.
Yeah.
On radio, you work every day and do the book.
Pat Hughes does the book.
Yes, he does.
And Pat worked with me for a long time, and he had the book, and he still scores the same way, and the book is the same. I mean, I could jump in on Pat Hughes' broadcast and do a Cub game like nothing. And
sure.
He'd score, it'd be perfect. It'd be real easy.
Yeah, there's his book right there in front of the microphone.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Santo just writes on the glass.
That is low for ball 4. And I actually wanted to allude to Ron. He has had to miss a little time this year due to some health situations. He's feeling really good right now, but this is therapy, as you mentioned earlier. To be at the ballpark, this is a huge comfort zone for you, isn't it?
Get back here and be around the guys, and win, lose, or draw. You always want to win, but it really is nice to be back. It really is. I was diagnosed with an inner ear infection, and I ended up with heart.
Craig Counsell comes in as part of a double switch. He's going to hit ninth and play third. And tall right-hander Cameron Lowe will take over on the mound. The tying run is at the plate. It's Derek Lee after Castro walked. And ball 1. Braddock faced 2 batters, got 1 out. That's a strike. set at the belt. Here it is. Line shot and caught by Escobar. That'll end the inning. Cubs get one on the pinch hit home run by Fukudome. They now trail 4-2 after 7. Classics for the whole family. Get your gear from the official source, thecubs.com shop. Accept no substitutes. Right-hander Andrew Kashner will make his 27th appearance. His ERA ballooned on the last trip. And he'll face Alcides Escobar, with Milwaukee leading 4-2. Fastball is low and away. Ball 1. There's a strike, 2-1. Ted Lilly gave up a home run to the second batter he faced tonight, Miguel Tejada of the Padres, but the Dodgers got 2 back in the second, so Lilly with a 2-1 lead in the third as he battles Matt Latos. Padres won last night. Matt Kemp went 5 for 5 in a loss. Houston is drubbing the Cardinals 14-4 in the 8th. Bird dives and catches this one. Going to his right, going to his left, coming in. It doesn't matter. He just gets everything.
I'll tell you, Len, a lot of outfielders will slow down as they get close to the point of catching the ball to protect themselves. Marlon Byrd never slows down, leaning his body forward, driving those legs. Getting his glove underneath that ball, never took his eye off the baseball, and tremendous body control after he hits the ground.
One out in the inning as Kashner deals to Lucroy, up and in.
Now watch Marlon Byrd running down those fly balls in the outfield. It reminds me of when Ricky Henderson used to steal bases. Ricky always slid headfirst into second base, and he was always accelerating even as he went down to the ground. He would lean his upper body forward, keep driving with his legs. He never slowed down. go right into his slide into second base. Marlon Byrd uses the same theory as he dives for those balls in the outfield.
I talked about his case for a Gold Glove last week, and I don't think anything has changed. I think his candidacy has improved.
You know, in his stellar play in the All-Star game in Anaheim this year, playing right field, might sway some voters as well. You know, guys that maybe don't see Marlon Byrd on a regular basis, they see him make a heads-up play like that on a national stage in an All-Star game. It may cause them to go back and take a look at Marlon Byrd's season defensively.
Castro throws out Lucroy. Oh, we asked Elias, just curious, the last pitcher making his major league debut to throw this many pitches. And it was Jason Jennings, 124 for the Rockies back in 2001. I believe that was a complete game. 122 tonight for Thomas Diamond. So you don't normally see a pitcher throw that many pitches. He got the Cubs through 6 as he gave up 3 runs. He struck out 10 on the night. There was a 5-hit complete game shutout at Shea Stadium. He also, talking about Jason Jennings, hit a home run.
And Counsell injured his neck on that swing and a miss right there against Andrew Cashner. The guy that throws 96, 97 miles an hour with a good changeup, he'll send you to the chiropractor.
He singles into left. We are 18 days away from Craig Counsell's 40th birthday.
He really lets this ball travel deep into the hitting zone with 2 strikes and slapped it the other way past Ramirez into left field for a base hit.
Counsell 3 for 3 going back to last night, and it's Weeks. This is the 12th plate appearance of the series already for Ricky Weeks. Runner moving, and that was fouled back. Swing and a miss to end the inning. Bottom of the 8th, Ramirez will start it. 4-2 Brewers. All right, Gail, thank you. 4-2 Milwaukee. Cubs enduring their season-long 6-game losing streak. They want to put an end to it tonight. They're going to have to come back here in the late innings to do that. As Aramis Ramirez slices this one, could be trouble, going to get down, and Corey Hart will get it back in quickly. It's a single for Ramirez. So the tying run will come up with nobody out here in the 8th.
A little head fake there by Aramis Ramirez. Was looking to pull that sinker from Cameron Lowe. Instead, he slices it down into the right field corner for a leadoff single.
Cameron Lowe listed at 6'7", 240 pounds. Former Texas Ranger. Slide step, and ball 1 to Marlon Byrd. These guys are former Ranger teammates. Lowe did not pitch in the big leagues last year. He made 5 starts in Japan in 09. Cubs have their closer Carlos Marmol up in the bullpen for the 9th, hoping they have a lead at that point. 2-1. What has gotten into the Astros? They trade Lance Berkman, and now all of a sudden seems like they have one of the best offenses in the league. They have 20 hits tonight in St. Louis, leading 16-4 in the 8th. Base hit pulled in the left. First 2 have reached.
With that power sinker that bores in hard on the right-handed hitters. Marlon Byrd able to pull his hands in a little bit closer to his body, get the barrel on it, and line it right through the left side of the infield.
Trevor Hoffman with a scoreless inning last night, the 8th. And he still is not on the mound. He's long tossing behind the mound in the bullpen. It's a little tricky, I would imagine, Bob, with Trevor Hoffman. A very specific routine, probably takes more time than most to get ready, but it was always for the 9th inning. These days he has to be at the ready a little bit quicker. So the odds seemingly would favor Soriano in this matchup. Hoffman thinking about his 3rd warm-up toss off the mound. As Lowe comes back in a 1-0 pitch. Outside, 2-0. 1 pitch, 1 zone.
A lot of those sinking fastballs from Cameron Lowe end up down around the knees or a little below, and we know that is Alfonso Soriano's happy zone. Great low ball hitter.
A good pitch to hit, and he just missed it. 2-1.
No sign of a bunt at all in this at bat by Soriano, and not surprised even a little bit. Well, he put down a sac bunt on his own earlier this season in a close ball game late, but he's trying to give the Cubs the lead in this game.
And Lowe comes all the way back to strike him out.
Kept pushing that sinker in closer and closer to Alfonso Soriano. The last one off the plate inside. A lot of downward movement. No contact.
Gio doubled his first time, lined out to center his second time, and then struck out against Todd Coffey to end the sixth. There have been 19 strikeouts combined in this game. Only one looking. Everything else has been a swinging strikeout. Now Lowe has found his sinker. 0-1. I think Lowe is a good name for a sinker baller, even though it's L-O-E. Flags are quiet, as they have been much of the night. And the pitch. 1-2. Not too many secrets right now. Trying to get a double play ball. He's getting a lot of swings and misses with that sinking fastball.
After jumping ahead of Soto with the sinker, he did throw a slider off the plate low and away, but then immediately goes right back to his bread and butter pitch, looking for that ground ball.
And he got him. Gio was looking for that sinker and was frozen on strike three. So just the second looking strikeout of the night, and a big one for Lowe.
He got away with one here. That is a belt high slider right in the middle of the plate. But as you mentioned, Giovanni Soto trying to think along with the Brewers pitcher, figured he was going to continue to challenge with the sinker, and just cannot pull the trigger on that hanging slider.
See if Blake DeWitt can come up with something here. His third game as a Cub, but he lines right at Prince Fielder. First two got on, and they did not move off first and second. We'll head to the ninth. It'll be Carlos Marmol trying to keep the Brewers right where they are. you could get an answer live on air. Don't miss Sylvania Cubs postgame live immediately following the ball game right here on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. Carlos Marmol is in.
The save opportunities have been few and far between for Carlos Marmol. He did save the Cubs' last victory, the opening game of the road trip in Houston.
Tough part of the order here is Corey Hart. A smart idea with everybody back. But he bunted it foul. It's also not a terrible play against Carlos Marmol, who is tough to hit. Sneak attack. Saw Trevor Hoffman get ready quickly just in case in the eighth. Cameron Lowe able to get out of that inning, and now the closer John Axford, who looks like an extra from one of my favorite shows, Deadwood, on HBO. 1-2. He traveled with Lewis and Clark, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah. This town ain't big enough for the two of us.
Foul tip, strikeout. Now the Felco upcoming schedule. First place Reds come in on Friday. Not quite sure they'll be in first by then, but they'll be near it at the very least. Then a tough trip at San Francisco, the wild card leaders. And then our first trip to St. Louis here in 2010. It's a 7-game trip. Swing and a miss. I mean, I haven't looked at the pitching probables coming up, but it's possible the Cubs could see the likes of Tim Lincecum, Matt Cain, Barry Zito, Adam Wainwright, Chris Carpenter. That could be a really tough trip. But I think by and large the Cubs have played their best baseball against the better teams for whatever reason.
In the 4-game series in San Francisco, a ballpark that is not very home run friendly to begin with, and we know that the Cubs have been overly reliant on the home run ball again this year.
Giovanni Soto saying, well, wait a minute, I guess he doesn't want it. That came off part of his equipment, didn't it? Which shoulder?
Probably the right shoulder. Yeah. That little extender pad that is velcroed onto his chest protector and extends out there to cover his throwing shoulder.
You knew the minute he declined to put that pad back on there, another foul ball would be within inches of hitting his shoulder.
In the vicinity, yeah.
Just nicked his glove, fortunately. And a base hit. Ryan Braun is locked in. 8 hits, all singles in the series.
At some point Marmol might try to come inside to Ryan Braun with a fastball. Once he started taking those good swings at pitches out there around the outside corner, it seemed to be set up to bust him inside with a fastball, but Marmol chose to go with the slider low and away, and Braun was all over it right back up the middle of the field again.
Half swing on a slider by Fielder. 18-4, Houston leading the Cardinals. So they matched Milwaukee's output from last night with 18 runs. Angel Sanchez, 4 hits, 6 RBIs. Carlos Lee, 3 hits. Pedro Feliz with 3. And they don't have a home run. The Cardinals tonight have out-homered the Astros 2-0, and they trail 18-4. Reds have closed in on the Pirates. They have scored the last 5 runs in that game. They're in the top of the 9th at 7-6 Pittsburgh. Runner goes, called strike. Throw to second. Got him. Boy, the throw is right on the chest of Ryan Braun. Caught by Castro, and they got him.
Pretty good jump over there at first base by Ryan Braun. Face wash. What do they call it in hockey?
Yeah. Exactly right.
That glove right in his face. Of course, that's where the throw was. No intent on the part of Starlin Castro. He's just trying to catch the throw from Giovanni Soto and get a tag somewhere on Ryan Braun before he got to the bag.
And that's the inning. Fielder strikes out. 2 Ks in the 9th for Marmol. Last chance for the home team. Pinch hitter Colvin Castro trailing by 2. CHN or sell tickets to the games you can't make on StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Chicago Cubs. You'll find great seats and great service on StubHub all season. So go to StubHub.com and choose your seats today. Our second look in this series at John Axford, who got 3 fly ball outs in a 1-2-3 ninth. A non-save spot last night. A little tighter. It was a 17-run spread. Tonight only 2. 4-2 Milwaukee.
One of those fly ball outs that Axford got in the 9th inning last night was Mike Fontenot, who will lead off this inning, pinch hitting for Carlos Marmol.
Last guy to pinch hit in this spot was Kosuke Fukudome, who hit a long home run. That was in the 7th. One and one to Fontenot. Colvin and Castro also will come up in this inning. Off the inside corner to make it 2-1. Axford trying to notch his 16th save. Driven out into left center. Cut off by Braun, who will spin and throw towards second. Fontenot is in. A little bit of a risk, but ultimately the right play as he's in scoring position with the tying run coming up to the plate.
That's one of the easiest ones to be aggressive as a base runner. When you line that ball into the gap in left center, as you round first base, the whole play is right in front of you. And you can go a good halfway to second base, read the throw from the left fielder. If you think you can make it, you keep going. If you see that the throw's offline, go on to second base. If you see it's online, you stop and go back to first. Good read that time by Fontenot.
Well, the Cubs are 0 for 9 with men in scoring position. Man, a missed opportunity in the 8th to at least get one. They had the first two on base and could not get a tally as Colvin takes it low. He's not trying to move the runner to third. Colvin, in fact, is the key guy in this inning, representing that tying run. Fontenot has to be generally cautious at second base. Can't take any chances here to make an out. And a ground ball to second, knocked down by Weeks. And again, that's not the ideal scenario in that spot. One out in the inning. I guess as Colvin will get some high fives in the dugout, but this situation here, you got to get somebody else on or hit a home run.
Had a couple of situations earlier in the ball game we could have used a ground ball to the right side to move a runner, but in the ninth you'd like to do a little more damage.
I know it's not easy, Bob, but I mean, in this spot, really Castro can't even think about, I got to get this guy in from third. I mean, this is just an at bat where he's got to try to get on base, a walk, a hit, whatever it takes. Axford would gladly get a ground ball or a fly ball for a sac fly to get the second out.
We haven't seen Starlin Castro bunt for a base hit this year, but this would be an ideal time. Not only do you get a run, but you put a runner on base. Casey McGee playing way behind the bag at third. Prince Fielder in his usual position, way off the line and deep at first base. As long as you kept it away from the pitcher and the catcher, you got a pretty good chance of beating it out.
Just caught the outside edge. 2-1. Cubs' last win was a week ago Monday in Houston. Talking about position player having to pitch. Aaron Miles is pitching for the Cardinals in the ninth. His team down 14 runs.
Zappa looked with his facial hair.
Good call.
Starlin will take one deep in a lead-filled snowshoe.
What you said. Ground ball, base hit. It's 4-3. And Castro, big turn. He stumbles. He's caught up between first and second. And they get him. That's a huge mistake. He slipped and he just couldn't regain his footing to get back to first. 2 outs here in the ninth.
Well, it looked like exactly what we were hoping for. An RBI and another runner on base. Edmonds with the briefest of bobbles right there. I think Castro was still going to be in good shape until he lost his footing out there between first and second. He sees the bobble. He was going to try to go, and you can see he got his feet crossed up, almost went all the way to the ground, and ends up getting caught in the rundown.
So nobody on, 2 outs. It's Derek Lee. So a single, an RBI, and I think it went 8-6-3-4. A big swing and a miss by Derek Lee. The 1-1 fouled off. I feel like I'm in a Tommy Two-Tone song here. That put out went 8-6-7-5-3-0-9. Another 1-run game. The Cubs have had some excruciating 1-run losses this season. Trying to hang in there. 13-24 in games decided by 1 run. A 1-2 to Derek. He could not hold, and that'll do it. Axford gives up a run, but gets the save. And the Brewers have already clinched this series with Game 3 tomorrow afternoon. And now the Cubs are 13-25 in 38 1-run games. Well, Bob, the Castro play again. Youth means energy, and you're going to have some aggressive mistakes. You understand what he was trying to do, getting into scoring position as the potential tying run, but it seems like during a losing streak, those things really stand out.
Well, it's been a common problem all year long, a lack of fundamentals. I don't think this is so much a lack of fundamentals. I think he had the right idea in mind, but once he stumbled and was out there in the middle of no man's land, wasn't much else. Was good. The aggressiveness was good, and unfortunately just the stumble that cost the Cubs an out on the bases.
Our GMC player of the game, Thomas Diamond, who acquitted himself nicely. Really good changeup, a 4-seam fastball, got a lot of swings and misses, kept the Cubs in it. 10 strikeouts over 6 innings.
Very impressive debut for Thomas Diamond. Hopefully the 122 pitches won't take too much of a toll, and he'll be able to bounce back and take the ball on his next turn.
Well, we don't know who is going to take that next start, but certainly Thomas Diamond deserves another chance at this level, and the guess here would be that he will get it. So that'll do it for our game coverage. Stay tuned for Sylvania post-game live. The final score tonight, the Brewers 4, the Cubs 3. Our next Cubs telecast right back here tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Pre-game live at 12:30. Bob and I will hit the air at 1. First pitch 120. Dempster for the Cubs. Para for the Brewers. In-game scoring provided by ScorePad. And now for Bob and our entire Comcast Sportsnet crew led by Bob Albrecht. Good to have Dave Turner, our director, back. Tamara Anderson and everyone else. Glenn Casper now sending it over to our downtown studios. Pat and Mark will take it over.